Weird things kids did in school. One day during class in middle school, this kid saw a thermos in the back of the classroom. Turns out it was the teacher's, but he did not know this at the time. He then goes to the bathroom with the thermos. He then comes back, the teacher sees him and says, "Oh, you found my thermos, thank you so much. You can just put it on my desk." And he does. He then walks out of the room without saying a word. The teacher opens the thermos and is incredibly confused and disgusted. Apparently, this kid took a sided for thermos. Interesting facts about lucid dreams. Lucid dreaming is when you are in a dream and you know that you're in a dream. You can control it and do whatever you want, like literally. I taught myself how to do it when I was younger and it is awesome. Did you know that time moves slower when you were in a dream? One person apparently lived a lifetime in a lucid dream. She said it felt like she was in there for 100 years. And she wasn't stuck, she said. She said it was epic, but it only actually happened over the course of a night. When you lucid dream, you can create a world, cities, houses, and even people that you can revisit every time you're back in that dream. It's like you have two lives, your waking life and your dream life. Dream characters are people that your subconscious puts in your dream. So say you're 100% lucid, you know you're dreaming, and you walk around a city. If you ask a question to somebody walking around, their answer is actually your subconscious talking to you. Have you ever had a lucid dream? People that were legends in their high school. This one high school had costume contests during Halloween. Well, this one kid showed up to school wearing a Walmart hot dog costume. As he stepped up on the stage, everyone thought it was funny. And they were chanting, "Hot dog kid, hot dog kid." And he won the award for best costume that year. Well, the next year, he wore a penguin costume. And as he stepped up on the stage, he stood there for a second. And then he ripped off the penguin costume to reveal the hot dog costume underneath. Everybody in the school absolutely lost it. That kid became a legend right then and there. Now, students can't win the costume contest 2 years in a row, but everyone knew that hot dog kid had done it again. Black markets kids ran in their schools. A follower submission. This guy goes to a pretty small school. Well, a few years ago, he found out a way to shut off the entire school's power for about 30 minutes. He never told anyone how he did it, and the school never found out about this. I don't know why. Like I said, it was a small school, so I don't know what's going on there. But this is how his business worked. Somebody would give him $10. They would tell him when they wanted the power shut off and why. Most people did this because they had a presentation they didn't prepare for or a project they didn't do. So the power being turned off would give them more time or a few extra days to do it. Well, business was booming. He did this for about 3 years. And overall, he made around $1,000. Black markets kids ran in their schools. This one's kind of different. At this person's elementary school, basically all the kids used metallic ends of pencils as currency. Green was the most common, so it was the least valuable. Bronze was the rarest at their school, so that was the most valuable. They traded these metallic pencil ends for fancy erasers, pencil cases, or for a spot up in the Foursquare line. The school eventually banned this, but these kids still operated. Groups of people were acting as banks to keep the currency hidden and to keep the transactions private. That's pretty sophisticated. Ways grocery stores trick you into buying things. Grocery stores spray their produce with water to make them look more appetizing. People think they do this to keep them fresh, but in reality, spraying vegetables with water makes them spoil faster. Supermarkets do this to give the veggies a dewy, fresh-picked look that makes people more likely to buy them. Grocery stores hide their meat and dairy, common essential items, behind the junk food in the back of the store. This forces shoppers to travel through tempting aisles on the way to get the milk. And they place kid-targeted products on a lower shelf. Because as kids are walking through the grocery store with their parents, they'll see the stuff that they want, grab it, they'll cry, and their parents will buy it for them. Worst things people did as kids. When this guy was growing up, his dad was an alcoholic and he had back problems, so he was prescribed morphine. For some reason, his dad gave him his morphine. He said that led to issues later on in life, but that's a different story. Anyway, one day at school, a kid named Dylan stole his MP3 player. And this kid was much bigger than him. There was nothing he could really do. So instead of confronting him, he put a handful of the morphine his dad gave him, dropped it in Dylan's backpack, then reported him to the dean. And because this guy has been in trouble before, he was expelled from the school and was facing potential jail time. And that was that. But 10 years later, this guy saw Dylan working at the Wendy's drive-thru in their hometown. Facts about celebrities that nobody really talks about. Matthew Perry from Friends lost a part of his middle finger after he slammed it in a car door when he was 3 years old. You can see it right here in this screenshot from a Friends episode. Elvis Presley was actually a natural blonde, but he started using black shoe polish to darken his hair because he thought it made him more handsome. Denzel Washington has dislocated his pinky finger so many times that sometimes it just falls out of place. In 1978, Tim Allen, known for his roles in Home Improvement and The Santa Claus, was caught with 1.4 pounds of cocaine on him. He was facing some serious prison time, but he snitched on other dealers in exchange for a smaller sentence. When Angelina Jolie was 22, she hired a hitman to kill her. She was going through a really tough time and wanted to escape, but the hitman was a decent enough person to ask her if that's what she really wanted. He told her to think about it and call him in 2 months. Well, she changed her mind. She said something changed, and she decided to stick it out. People being absolute jerks. This impatient driver was in a rush and ended up rear-ending an ambulance, causing a traffic jam and forcing the ambulance to stop with the patient still inside. These two brothers were having a beautiful moment when they finished building a pyramid out of beer cans, but then someone in the stands decides to destroy it by throwing a ball at it. Come on. And lastly, this grandma who was so mad that she had to destroy the TV. I think she went a little too far. That's messed up. People who were legends in their high school. When this kid was a freshman in high school, he was always bullied by the wrestling and the boxing club students. And he was beat up really badly that year. So during the summer, he started working out every day. And he took Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu lessons. By the end of that summer, he was pretty buff and he knew how to fight. His parents wanted to go on vacation before the school year started, so they went to Dubai. They were in Dubai for about a month, and while he was there, he still worked out every day and he trained in martial arts. Shortly after that, he was back in school, and a few days in, he saw the bullies. They didn't know what he had been up to that summer, and one day during lunch, they started to pick a fight with him. All his friends were telling him to run, but he didn't run. Instead, he used his knowledge in martial arts, and he absolutely won that fight against those 3 bullies. Everyone was amazed. The entire lunchroom began chanting his name. He felt like a star. But a teacher saw him and he was suspended. The bullies never messed with him again, and he said it was totally worth it. Jobs that don't exist anymore. A lector. Lectors were hired to read to large rooms of factory workers as they worked their days away. They were sometimes even hired by the workers themselves because they wanted entertainment so bad. Nowadays, people just listen to the radio. Pin setters. Pin setters were usually young boys working for cheap, and all they would do was reset bowling pins after a bowling ball hit them. Today, bowling alleys just use machines, obviously. A knocker-upper. And no, it's not what it sounds like. These people were hired to make sure others woke up for their jobs on time. They would use long sticks, rocks, and clubs to knock on their windows to wake them up. This job didn't pay well at all, and it was usually done by people who were incredibly desperate for money. And lastly, lamplighters. These guys used long poles or ladders to light, douse, and refuel street lamps. Oh, how times have changed. Black markets kids ran in their schools. A follower submission. When this kid was in 6th grade, he had a 3D printer. Well, he had always tried to figure out a way to make money off of the things that he 3D printed. And then one day at school, he realized that tons of kids wore Crocs. So he had an idea. A Croc charm in the shape of Dwayne the Croc Johnson. He first made a few for his friends, and they loved it. And when other kids saw his friends wearing this charm, they wanted some too. So he made tons of them. And he began selling them for $3 each. He was making crazy profit because it didn't cost him a lot of money to make at all. Business was absolutely booming, but he began having trouble keeping up with the demand, so he hired a few of his friends to help him do the selling. Well, one day when he was sitting in social studies class, the principal came in and asked to talk to him in the hallway. He was very nervous because he thought he was going to get shut down. But all the principal said was, "So I heard you're selling croc attachments in the shape of the rock. That's pretty interesting, and I was wondering if I could buy one." Gotta respect the hustle. The most disturbing kids' toys of all time. This here is called Jibba Jabba. It was a toy released in the 1990s. It's basically a doll that comes in different colored hair, and if you shake it, it makes a choking noise. Well, people didn't respond to it very well at first, because 1, shaken baby syndrome is a real thing, and 2, children started trying to do this on their baby siblings. These are skinny bones. They're like Legos, but super creepy, and they can only make these people. And you could buy the whole family, and even a dog. They were made in 1970. They were discontinued due to lack of interest. But if you can find one today, they're incredibly valuable. And lastly, we have Growing Up Skipper. Skipper was launched by Mattel in 1964 as Barbie's younger sister. 10 years later, Mattel released Growing Up Skipper, and Growing Up Skipper sparked controversy everywhere. If you twist her wrist, this doll grows about an inch, and her chest grows out. Watch this clip from the commercial.
You can have fun with Skipper when she's little, then suddenly you can make her grow up enough to wear her glamorous teenage skirt.
Random pictures that kind of blew my mind. This is a ball of salt someone took out of the Dead Sea. That's crazy. Apparently, if a burn or a cut is severe enough, dirt won't stick to it. I guess some airports have bathrooms just for dogs. This one's in Canada somewhere. They even got a fire hydrant in there. That's lit. This is a pink grasshopper, and yes, they exist. How did I not know about this? This is the chair that Abraham Lincoln was shot in. It definitely has a creepy vibe. These scissors are hella long, but I bet it makes cutting wrapping paper so much easier. People who are definitely cursed. This guy's senior picture on his yearbook did not turn out the way he hoped. Whoever did this obviously didn't care at all. This guy who was stuck in his car for a while because his Tesla decided to do a random software update. That is not convenient. After getting 3 flat tires, this person decided to look around their gravel driveway. And this is what they found. But that's not all. After a couple more hours of searching, this is the updated pile. This man's Speedo swimsuit had the S fall off. Now it just says pedo. Oops. And this mom who threw a graduation party for her son, but nobody showed up. That's super sad. The worst things teachers said to students. When this kid was 9 years old, he was in school when his teacher asked the class what they wanted to be when they grew up. And this is what happened. Alrighty, class, so what do you want to be when you grow up? Yes, David. When I grow up, I want to be a garbage man. Really? Well, nobody in here should ever aspire to be a garbage man. Do you want to know why? Because those types of jobs are for the most unintelligent people in our society. You should try to do better. Trash people get trash jobs. Now, David, why would you want to be a garbage man? Because my dad's a garbage man.